students. Welcome to Hybrid Friday. If you are here, you're in the right place. Today we have a couple classwork items, including reading, discussion, and grammar. Now, I want to go over this with you so everybody's clear on what the expectations are. So the first items are your reading classwork, and both of them are to help prepare you read this quarter's novel, The Boston Girl. Through the novel, we are going to examine some of the historical background of immigration policy and history in the United States. And so I am going to ask you to read a couple articles from Wikipedia using your skimming and scanning strategies. And I'm also going to ask you to I have a couple vocabulary games for you to help you learn the new vocabulary for our reading. Then we started on the class discussion this past week, and so if you haven't already finished that, you can continue working. And last week we were reviewing the past tense and the present perfect. It seems like many of you will still need more practice on the present perfect, so I would like you to review the PowerPoint. It's pretty lengthy, so don't worry about studying it too much unless you have a lot of time, but just go over it in preparation for this week's review. And also, I really encourage you to study the past tense verb chart, which also contains participles, and you'll need to know those participles for the present perfect and when we begin the past perfect tense. Okay, so I wanted to just give you a little bit of instruction about the immigration history assignment that I have for you. So if you open the link, you will see it says a quiz. Now, it's not really a quiz, it's just questions, comprehension questions that I would like you to take along with reading the article. And you'll see that I've asked you to use this link, and there'll be another link about the author, but that's later on. So let's go ahead and let's do one of them together. Okay. So even before you take the quiz, I would encourage you to go ahead and just look at the questions to get a good idea about what kinds of questions I'm asking you. Now, as you can see, they're mostly fact-based questions. And let's go over to the article, and you'll open up this link. I have it already up. Okay, and this is what the article looks like. Now, it's pretty lengthy, but remember that I asked you to really focus on the history of immigration. So let's go back to the quiz. And the first question says, most American immigrants in the mid-19th century came from. Okay, so we need to know where the immigrants back then came from. And we know like the mid-19th century, that is in the middle, somewhere in the 1840s, 1850s, 1860s. So I have skimmed the article. Now I'm going to scan for this information. Remember, maybe it's in here, but most likely it's in this part, the history. Okay, so I'm looking for specifically mid 1800s. And I see the mid 19th century saw an inflow mainly from Northern Europe, from the major ethnic groups as for the colonial period, but with large numbers of Catholic Irish and Scandinavians added to the mix. Okay, so going back to that question, most American immigrants in the mid 19th century came from, okay, just to double check, the mid 19th century saw an influx mainly, okay, an influx means a lot, huge numbers from Northern Europe. So I will just type in the answer, Northern Europe. Oops. Okay, and then I'll move on to the next question. And again, I see some clues in the question that will help me find the answer. From 1836 to 1914 over, how many million migrated to the US? So what part of this question am I going to look for the answer? Well, right 1836 to 1914 are some clues. So if I go back to the article, I will specifically look for those years. So I hope that this instruction has helped you. There are 11 questions, and the first questions have to do with the Wikipedia article, and the second one have to do with the information about the author. I think it's really interesting, and I hope you do too. And I know that you'll do a great job. Okay, so let's go back home. And let's go back to our Hybrid Friday. Okay, that's it for today.